using technology comes fairly natural to kids today. What doesn't come natural, and what Greyhurst is committed to, is philosophical awareness and contemplation, quieting the soul to think deeply. And to the extent the digital world or technology is going to impinge on that, we're going to push back.
Greyhurst is uniquely positioned to evaluate technology because we have an adequate anthropology. We understand what it means to be human, so we can look at a technology and say, does that allow us to become more fully human? And does it allow the students to learn better? Greyhurst is not anti-technology. We love books. That's a great technology.
I think that the screens that we use in our classrooms may not always produce much. They seem like something's happening, but they're not often really pushing us in the direction that could actually be the type of person who could make that technology. Because we can get so distracted by the things that are in it that we can't actually become the kinds of minds who can become great hardware engineers and great programmers.
The students are fundamentally learning to use technology, but we don't use more technology than we need. We believe that some technology, in fact, isn't helpful. For example, students should actually read books. They should hold paper in their hands. They should write on it. They should smell it. But they should engage with it deeply in and of itself, as people have for thousands of years.
By intentionally using technology, what we do at Greyhurst, Texas, is we help minds develop outside of technology and then learn how to use it to greater effect in their lives.
There is certainly an intentionality put into how and when technology is needed in a classroom. We use it sparingly, and we use it only if it's necessary.
We have to be careful just to say technology bad, classical liberal arts good, because that's way too simple, because techne and craft and art are the roots of creation and human creativity and manipulating the physical world.
I think that there's some evidence that some technology is fantastic for us. So things like moving from a chalkboard to a whiteboard, it's way better. Things like adding a projector to a classroom where we're all able to behold something at the same time. That seems to improve outcomes. What doesn't seem to be as good as when we hand individual devices to kids. So when we give them laptops or iPads, it's unclear if that actually helps them with their grades. And there's some evidence that it actually gives them worse outcomes in terms of what they learn.
Frankly, we want to rewire the brain towards contemplation and friendship. Talking to the person in front of you, looking them in the eye, listening to them, instead of looking down at a screen. In that sense, Greyhurst is countercultural because we want to make them best suited to the modern culture that's ahead of them.
So as educators, the most important question that we can ask about technology is, how does it form the student? How does it form the human person?
I have two middle school kids at Greyhurst, and one of the things that they've told me is that when they're in other social spheres and sports or other activities, they notice that their other friends aren't as able to carry on conversations as their Greyhurst friends are, and that sometimes the friends find themselves off somewhere using a device. And so as much as they've sometimes not liked not having devices in school, they've noticed what it's done to them and to their friends. And then at home, we spend a lot of time thinking about how we can use our devices to make and create and to use all the things they're learning at school at Greyhurst into productive things. And so they're becoming really great creators because of what they've learned at Greyhurst and because they've had that freedom to not always be chained to a screen for 8 hours a day. Then when they come home, they can use it in helpful ways.
I want students to be computer programmers. But I want the students who become computer programmers to have read the Nicomachean Ethics. Because the fundamental problem in computer programming right now is that everybody's asking, can something be done, and not pausing to ask, should something be done?
As someone who's worked in the technology sector for a long time and building open source tools for Apple and Google and companies like that, when I hire the next generation of programmers and people, I think a lot like what Mark Cuban said, where he said, I'd love to hire liberal arts people because they can think well and because they can relate well. They understand people and they understand ethics. We can teach them the technology and we can teach them those skills, but what they develop at a school like Greyhurst is what we need to become the leaders for tomorrow.